There's research that when we tune into our senses, we tune out of anxiety, we tune out of overwhelm. So tuning into one sense at a time is what we're practicing here. We just look at our breath like with a beginner's mind, as if we know nothing about our breath, with brand new eyes. I call that new eyesing versus old eyesing. The old eyesing is like, I know it all, I've seen it all, and how can I possibly learn something new? So these sessions are really about looking at things new. I welcome you here today, and I will have a few tools for you to melt your stress today and to go through different layers of how to do that. So the first place where we can always start with is the breath. So I would like to invite you to bring one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, and just with curiosity, find your own breath. Just tune in as if you would look at your breath the first time with new eyes. So we're looking for length or volume, the inhale and the exhalation, and space. Which space does your breath occupy? And speed. And if there's any kind of like disruptions in your breath. So we first grounded ourselves in our here and now breath without a breathing technique, just the raw you, which doesn't need to be changed. And it's so funny because as soon as we look, we try to change our breath. And that's something we can cultivate, is look as if you would be a fly on the wall or just a witness. And that witnessing really comes in so handy with so many of the practices that I will teach you over the weeks to come. Let's invite our senses to our breath. Let's start by hearing our breath. Can you detect any of your breath, even if it's just slight? And that sound, what might it tell you? Your unique sound of your inhalation and exhalation. Is there any information in it? You make notes if you wish. We go next to your nostrils, and we just want to get any information about your breath that your nose or your nostrils perceive. The next sense we go to is your smell. Can you smell your inhalation? What you notice in your nostrils when your breath comes in. And that can be, again, like a sense of where the air touches it. Can be a sense of smell, either the smell in your room or how life force energy smells. How does it smell? Receiving the chemical compound that keeps us alive. As if we stop breathing, that's it, we expire. Does the inhalation feel different in your nose and the exhalation? And then we do something really special, I find, is we taste it. So if you breathe through your nose and become aware of your mouth, what information can your mouth give you? I notice that there's a real gathering of moisture in my mouth. And that is a telltale sign that you get from stressed into calm, from fight and flight into rest and digest. So that moist mouth is very much a sign for you to check if you're like high anxiety or just busy. So we looked first, we turned our ears inwards to hear our breath. Does our breath make a sound when we're quiet? Then we have the sense of touch, which is like, I like to feel that where is the expansion? Where does my breath expand me? Like kind of like push me from the inside. There's also a sensation as touch of where the air kind of like hits, sometimes the back of the throat, the nostrils. Let's just see any sensation that our breath gives us. And just notice if your whole of your lungs would be the terrain of where you could breathe. Which terrain are you mostly frequenting? Is it top high? Is it like low down? Are the sides featuring? The sides? And just see if it feels like new or known territory. And there's also space behind your heart, in your back. See if you can find that, the sensation of breathing into your back. So see if you can explore most of your lungs and with how much ease you can do that. And then we go for the last sense, which is our eyes, which is actually our strongest sense. And we're going to turn our eyes inwards. And we're going to look at that expansion and at that, how our breath looks. Even if you know nothing about anatomy, can you get a picture of your breath? Does it go evenly in all directions? Is there any restrictions anywhere? Is there like something that stops you from going deeper? Obstacles? How's the back of your heart, the back of your lungs? Are they wide open pastures, or are they kind of like more like build up with things that you're holding on to? See if you can get an image. So that's 5 breaths that we've looked at so far. There's 2 more I would like to mention. One is the feeling of being touched without actual any movement or pressure. So that would be a feeling of being blessed or touched by your heart or through your heart. So it's like tuning into the gratitude of the breath, the significance of the breath really in our life. We don't need to breathe like 2 minutes and we'll probably have our brain slowly start dying. So 5 minutes, we're a goner unless we're like extremely trained to hold our breath so long. So taking our breath for granted and also breathing poorly for a long period of time really means that we're causing anxiety. So anxiety is not always that, an unknown factor. It's actually through poor breathing we can cause anxiety. And then we look at our life and try to prove why we have anxiety. Sometimes it's just dehydration, breathing, and a lack of groundedness. So these three things are the first things to really look at when we experience stress or anxiety. That feels like it's like a bit too much for the circumstances we're in. So that is the sixth breath. It's being touched without physically being touched or anything moving. It's a being touched through the heart. Let's just tune in for that for a moment. So there's a seventh sense that I like to add, which is very much the being part of a huge microcosm and macrocosm. It's like the butterfly effect. My breath, me breathing, affects and has a ripple effect on the world around me. And for that, I become an important part for the creation on earth. So really feeling the oneness, feeling that we're all one and we all contribute to something greater. That is my seventh sense. I also refer to it as God consciousness, being one or having God within me through the breath, dwelling in me, and becoming a part of the whole. And without me, the world would not be the same. And it's a sense of significance of, as long as I'm breathing, I have a purpose. And that purpose is what I breathe. So when I'm gifted that inhalation, my exhalation is then my imprint of me, my contribution, me in the world. So let's just take a little moment for that. Well, today's tool was the 7 senses and your breath. As I promised you in the beginning, I want to show you like a little trick of how to get laser focused and out of anxiety, really. So there's research that when we focus on our senses, actually, if you focus on 3 senses at the same time, is what we will be finishing with today. It reduces anxiety and distractions, and it helps with laser focus. And I will show you a really easy way of doing that. So you take 3 of the senses, any of them, and you try to bring them into one place. And that you can do that for 1 to 2 minutes. It really helps you recalibrate your brain. So let's just do a few examples. You can move your fingers over each other, which is a sensation of touch. You can do that while smelling your breath. So feeling the sensation on your nose, and at the same time hearing your breath. See if you can do that. We do that for 1 minute. In the beginning, you jump from sense to sense. Make sure you slow your fingers down. Go around and around and around. Till eventually you can cultivate a sense of all 3. One of my favorites is me touching my face as if I would touch my child's face or myself in a very, very loving way. So I can either just hold my hands here and feel that touch, or I can stroke myself to feel that touch. So I just hold for now, and then I notice my mouth moistening fairly quickly. So I notice my mouth moistening, and I touch myself, and at the same time I look favorably into me, as if I would look at myself with my inner eyes, in a kind way, as if you would look at a newborn baby. So soft eyes. moist mouth, gentle touch and energy exchange, and kind eyes. Just notice. There's another way of doing that, which is a slight hum. So when you have a hum, you have two things at the same time. Or actually, you could probably have more than one in one go. That's why it's so powerful. So when we hum, let's think, what senses do we feel? So I hear my hum. I have my tongue to the roof of my mouth, and I can feel a vibration throughout my whole mouth. So I can hear it, I can feel the sensation or humming in my head, and I can also feel my mouth. So let's try that again. So 6 hums are quite a good duration. If you go really slow, that's around 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on how slow you hum. But that's quite a good one, 6. And after that, you are more focused. See if you notice. That precious, delicious oxygen that is gifted to us as by magic, created by the earth around us. In most languages, we say we take a breath. Well, try not taking it. See what happens. Shall we try that? Hold your breath. So breathe out on empty. Hold your breath and try not to take another breath. See what happens. It's gifted to you. Even if you try not to take it, it will come anyway. So it's not something we have to take. It's not something we need to work hard on. And after taking these breaks from breathing, just notice how your breath is now. Yeah, more full, right? Yes, exactly.